Okay, in this section, we're going to talk about what people should do when they come to your website. You've expended all these resources to get them here. Now, what action do you want them to take? That's the thing that should greet them right at the top of the page. What you want to do is have a clear first step at the top of your website. Yes, you have navigation, but the truth is, people are less and less inclined to go to the navigation. They're more likely to focus on what's right in front of them. And so I loved this website when it was first built. There was a very clear first message. There's a place for you here. This is a synagogue, and discover more. And it immediately drove them inside the website to a page that had information on all of the services and the connecting the it drove them immediately to a page that focused on all the ways to connect to people within the congregation. Unfortunately, and this happens a lot with association websites, but I also see it with business websites, they got a little confused. What was more important? And suddenly, this first box became a place to drive people to their online community, their announcements, and the homepage lost some of its focus. It lost its priority. During the pandemic, IHC Online was the most important thing. Great. Why have this other button for announcements? And now this was a way to appease everyone, to put all of the things that are important right here. But essentially, this became nothing more than another menu. And it was no longer that one single focus. And so your number one challenge, and this is hard, is to avoid what I call conversion creep, to avoid focusing on multiple paths at the same time. You need to have, for every page on your website, that primary focus. Everything else will appear later or on a different page. So, what do customers want? You really need to think about this. And I'm going to show you an example. This was a company that had really two restaurants in the same building. There was a dinner restaurant and a lunch restaurant. Their dinner restaurant was all about making reservations. When people went to the Point on Penn, the number one reason they came to the website was to make a reservation, because this was a very exclusive restaurant. You couldn't always get in. They really wanted people to call. And so that was what was primary on their website. Look at how different their lunch place is. Here, the primary focus is the menu, because at lunchtime, people want to know, okay, do they have a sandwich I want? Do they have something that I'm going to enjoy eating for lunch? Quick in, out. It's less about reservations, because people don't make reservations for lunch. It's about the food. So, two different restaurants, two very different approaches to what people want when they come to the website. You need to think about, what is it you want someone to do, and focus your messaging on a first action. In this instance, the best cooks begin with the best beans. In this instance, Raynal Beans doesn't sell their product online. You don't really order beans in glass jars and have them shipped. It's just too expensive. And so what they wanted people to do when they came to the website was discover ways to use the beans to get them excited about buying the product. And so the number one thing Randall wanted was for people to browse the recipes. And that was a very conscious decision because that was how they built their business. They got people excited about the recipes, and the more recipes they created, the more often people would print the recipes, refer to the recipes, go to the store, buy the beans, and make the recipes. This is a very different example. Here, what you're trying to get people to do is join the mailing list. This is the most important thing people can do when they come to this website. They're not going to sign up to buy the service the very first time they come. But if you can get their email address, now you have an opportunity to get people to come back and stay in touch and stay in touch. Maybe you have a business where your first action is really to get someone to schedule an appointment. Here, what this is an attorney, and what he decided was that he needed to immediately reassure people when they came that they had come to the right place, that he was the guy they were looking for. And so then, as soon as he presented that information, let's chat. I also really like this skinny contact form down below. We've used this with a lot of our clients, and it's very effective because it immediately gets the information. It's very subtle, but you get the contact information you need to follow up and continue the conversation. Maybe you're a home services company. In that instance, again, the single biggest thing is to establish who you are, what you do, and then schedule a free consultation. More than anything else, this company wants an invitation into your home. So you can do all the other things, but the most effective thing you can do is get people to schedule that appointment. Sometimes you have a product where people can buy right away. Sometimes you have a product where people can buy right away. Don't beat around the bush. Great parking is right around the corner. I came to a parking website, find and reserve parking. And then I've got some other opportunities. There's daily parking, event parking, monthly parking. But the very first button I see is what people are looking for. They didn't come to learn about my company history. They want a parking spot. Give it to them. And finally, as you're thinking about your page, I've talked a lot about the top of the page from a conversion standpoint. Don't forget the bottom. When I get to the bottom of the page, what do I do next? Every page on your website is, in essence, a landing page, and there should be what I call a logical next step. If I get all the way to the bottom of this security page, do I want to fill out? If I get all the way to the bottom of the security page, here's an invitation to learn more. Conversely, if I click in on a specific product, this is their commercial security page. Now, instead of just signing up for the newsletter, because I've really kind of clicked into the website, this is an interior page, I'm already a little bit interested. If I'm on this page, now it makes sense to invite me to schedule an appointment. So on a preliminary page, the offer is sign up for the newsletter. On an interior page, it's schedule an appointment. But every page should have an action. Here's another way to sort of think about your next steps. You got lots of options. Not sure what your next step should be? Well, here's some suggestions. Add a blog post or a workbook that somebody can download. Give them an opportunity. Not sure what you should put at the bottom of the page? Here are a few suggestions. Have a link to a blog post or a resource. Invite people to take a quiz or schedule an appointment if you're deep into your website. Invite people to create an account or register for an event. Again, you can have your newsletter or just a contact form submission. Invite people to browse photos if you're an association. Let people see what you're doing, or search FAQs, watch a video, or buy now. Any of these are fabulous next steps. Bottom line, you need to have something at the bottom of every single page. And finally, as we're looking at your website, I don't want to skip over navigation. I know that I said early on people focus primarily on the buttons, but they will go to your navigation. And the question is, does your navigation make sense? We were working with this high school and it was unbelievable. The navigation was so cluttered and you had to drop down 2 and 3 deep. Now, this was confusing enough on a computer. It was absolutely impossible on mobile. The solution was to get away from that very cluttered navigation. And so we had just very simple. Are you a current family? Are you a prospective family? Or are you an alumni? Those are the 3 groups of people who would come to the website. And then what we did, depending on which group you fell into, now you came to an interior page that had a secondary navigation. This is one of my favorite tricks because it allows people to come down and get into a rabbit hole, but still gives them the opportunity to hop back to another major theme. You don't get so far into the website, you can't find your way back. Okay, it's time for you to go and start looking at your website and ask yourself, are you creating? Okay, it's time for you to go and look at your website and ask yourself, are you creating a great customer experience? Okay, Now it's time for you to go look at your website and ask yourself, are you creating a great customer experience that's going to encourage someone to stay and move through your sales funnel?